right, hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris Jaquez, and this is your best life defined. Hey, let's go ahead and get started today. So, what's the future look like? That's the big question. I think we're dealing with. What the hell does the future look like, right? Well, COVID-19 came along, and now we're all concerned about our future as if we can predict it. But when you really think about it, we have never been able to predict the future. We've had a semblance of normalcy where we continue to wake up for a long period of time and nothing changes. But the possibility of life changing just like that is like almost immediate. You know what I mean? So it's kind of ironic that now we're concerned about the future, because we still have no way to predict it. So what's the solution? I mean, going forward? Well, you notice that no one in the media or no one up top, all these important people that are running shit, they're not predicting it either. They're not talking about, oh, well, this is what it's going to look like. They make suggestions about it. But the reality is what you're facing right now. And if you happen to be one of those people who are displaced, one of those people who are out of work and a non-essential employee, and you have debt and you don't have resources to maintain your lifestyle, now would be the time to be a lion. Okay, because there are two kinds of people in the world. There are lions and there are lambs. Now the lambs are those of you who decide for whatever reason that you can, number one, trust the government and what they're doing for you, and that two, you can plan on society and our economy coming back up and everything going back to normal, and you'll be back to work before your unemployment runs out. Well, that's okay if everything works out that way, but the question I need to ask you is, what if it doesn't go the way you plan? What happens if you sit back and you're waiting because you're not comfortable stepping outside your box, or the job that you could have is below you? Well, while you're sitting on unemployment drawing that check, the lions are going to be grabbing those jobs, those opportunities. And some of those lions are going to grab two jobs. They're going to go from working day shift at Walmart to working evening shift at Home Depot or at Costco. Because the reality is that when those jobs dry up, when the opportunities that are created by this new economy that we're trying to create, or that is growing out of what's happened, once those jobs fill up, there is no guarantee that any of the other jobs that were once available are going to be available again. And we really can't predict where we're going to be. So I'm just trying to help out here. So don't look at me like I'm an idiot because I'm over here telling you need to go to work. But if I were in your shoes, if I were sitting where I was unemployed and I had debt and my way of life was actually at risk, I wouldn't be sitting around playing video games or surfing the internet. I would be finding a way to generate revenue, even if that unemployment comes in, even if you got the promise of another stimulus package, because there's nothing we can count on except the actions that we're in control of. And sometimes you got to step outside the box, And I'm not speaking I'm just speaking out my ass here. I've done this. So, a little story here. Back in 1981, 82. I was working construction in Colorado, and normally you get your unemployment checks and they just come in. But for whatever reason, I had filed for unemployment and my unemployment checks weren't coming in. Well, after I missed the second unemployment check, I loaded my son up, who was 3 months old, into the back of my Volkswagen, and I went out and I got a snow shovel and I went out and I shoveled snow for the day. I made $150 that day. That was gas money so that my wife could get back and forth to work. That was milk and diapers for my son. And that's just the approach that we have to have. You need to be a lion, because the world's going to change. And the only way we can survive is if we evolve with the changes. We're not going to stop them. We're not going to stand in their way. And obviously, from what we've seen with COVID-19, the world and the universe doesn't give two shits about us. Doesn't give two shits whether we're struggling, whether we have food, or whether we don't. That's on us. So you got a choice to make if you're struggling. Do you sit back and wait like a lamb and hope that everything's going to be fine, and in 4 months when the unemployment runs out, or maybe you never actually get it, you're sitting in a position to where you're losing everything, or your way of life is completely compromised to the point you're at the mercy of whatever the system can give you? Or are you going to step out there and start grabbing a hold of whatever's available to you so that you can maintain your level of existence, so you can get in the habit of being a lion and going after the shit you need to go after, to make sure that while you do lose some things in your life, it doesn't completely fall off and you can maintain control of the life you have. That's at issue. And then, you know, I get the way of life. I get the whole American dream and the idea that it's a wonderful thing to be able to own your own home and to invest in something that is yours. I mean, I don't fault you for that. I don't fault anyone. I mean, I did the same thing. I'm sitting here in a fifth wheel, and I took pride in the fact that I was able to buy it and it is mine. But when we think about the true impact of COVID-19, it's not only just the illness and the interruption in our income. Imagine how it would be, or how this experience would be different if you weren't swimming in debt when it happened. If in fact you were living, and maybe you do have a mortgage, but that's the only payment you have, and instead of spending every penny you get on assets and things that you want, you actually had $20,000 or $30,000 in the bank and this thing struck. Would it be fun? No. But you take those type of basic resources and set yourself up on that type of a platform moving forward, and then you add that to it, going after work and your need to survive like a lion, where as soon as you lost your job or they said you can't work here anymore, you changed your focus and you realigned your focus towards whatever you can do to keep that revenue coming in. You would be in a great position right now. You would be, sure, we're all still wondering about the future, but we can't predict the future. But you have a plan and you know what you're going to do in the future. See, the way I see it, there's some of us who are going to get this. There are some of us who are going to say, hey, guess what? You know, we're going to change the way we do things, because I don't ever want to feel like this again. I don't ever want to spend 15 years working to pay for something and then have it be taken away. And let's just be realistic about this. Let's just say that this COVID thing and the economy does not come back for 6 months or a year. Do you think that your lenders, the people you owe money to, are going to give two shits about what your position is or what you're able to do when they come and knock on your door and they serve you official eviction notice on your house? Or they come with a tow truck and they hook up to your truck that you've paid on for 4 years but you can't make the payment. So do you think they're going to be forgiving about the fact that that debt needs to be paid? They're not. Because the reality is they don't give two shits about you. They got their money from you and they got that asset. And they're going to work within the law to take care of it. And there isn't a politician in the world that's going to come in and save you. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on that one. So there's a reason that the dinosaurs died and the horseshoe crab still exists. In fact, did you know that the horseshoe crab is one of the oldest species on the face of the earth? And there's a reason for that. It's because, unlike the dinosaur, the horseshoe crab was able to adapt. It was in a position when that storm came in, whatever killed off all those monstrous animals, the horseshoe crab was in a position to not be in the eye of the storm. And as the world changed, the horseshoe crab just changed right along with it and kept on doing what horseshoe crabs do. So, taking another look at your life. I don't know where it's going, but if I were you, and I'm nobody, I'm not telling you what to do, but if I were you, I would be on the phone. If I didn't have an income right now, and even if I did have an income, I would be on the phone talking to everyone I know to see if there is anything I can do to earn money while I'm stuck in this position I'm in. Because every dollar that you earn is a dollar more than what you have now, and that's what's going to get us through, is that attitude toward doing whatever it takes to get wherever you need to be or to survive this thing. So I hope I haven't. I'm really trying not to make this sound like an ass chewing. I know I do. I know that's just kind of my nature. But you know, the other side of that is I can be all soft and mushy about it, and then I come across all fake. This is real for me. And I don't know what the hell happened to me, but after my dad died in 2011, my whole perspective of life changed. And I truly value the idea of helping other people. It's hard for me to watch people struggle, and this is the thing I do. And hopefully this helps. So keep in mind, the world is not coming to an end. It's going to get tough out there, and they're not talking about it because no one knows for sure how tough it's going to be. But we can make a difference in our own destiny, and it comes down to stepping outside the box and doing whatever it takes. And it requires us to evolve into our new environment. And the more flexible we are, the more we're going to be able to do that and to adapt. And moving forward, maybe owing on 2 cars and the house and a stack of credit cards isn't the best idea, regardless of who tells you it is. So anyway, hey, listen, guys, I'm not going to keep rambling on about this. I'm just doing what I can do here. This is my thing. Hopefully things are getting better for me. Hopefully you can see that I'm starting to relax and fall into this thing. But this is all about you. It's all about you. If you have any questions or you'd like to talk about this further, feel free to contact me on my social media feed. I also have my website, chrisjaquez.com. There's an email there. You can contact me. But listen, I'm just trying to do what I can. Hopefully in the next week or so, I'll be able to go ahead and start doing Zoom interviews with some people that might be able to give us even more insight to how we can get through this thing a little better. Because, the reality is we are in this together. And I understand there's 2 sides of this debate right now about whether we should go back to work, open up, because, the herd immunity mentality. And then we've got the other side that's saying, you know what, I really don't want this to get any worse than it already is, and we're willing to stay back. I think if even regardless of what position you're in, I think it might be a good idea as a society and as a whole for us just to back away from that, because all that ranting and raving we're doing between each other on social media and on the internet isn't doing anything except dividing us. It isn't doing anything to help anyone. All it's doing is creating what the politicians want, and that is the division among Americans, division among Americans who are in exactly the same position. Because truly we all are. None of us have millions of dollars. In fact, I don't even know any millionaires. So instead of trying to continue to add to the fire and diminish the quality of our relationships, given the fact that we can't even stand or talk to each other anymore, why don't we just sit back and watch and see how it happens and see what happens? Because we are going to come back up regardless of what anybody thinks. And I think the best step we can do is to just accept what comes and roll with it. But keep in mind that there's 2 sides to every story, and by hating and yelling and doing all this ugly stuff that people are doing on social media, it really just doesn't add to it. We're in this together. So, hey, I hope I've given you some good advice. Like I said, I'm a lion. If I were in your position and I was struggling or I didn't have an income at this time, I would find an income. I would become a construction worker. It doesn't matter what I did. I would become a stalker at Walmart. I would go to Costco, because those jobs are going to be scarce if this continues. So anyway, this isn't the whole story. We're going to talk about some other stuff, but I just wanted to bring that out there because I really understand what this struggle looks like. I've been through it. My wife has been through it. We actually came up from nothing. And it's purely a miracle that we were both able to retire at 54 and that we're able to live the life we do given how things started. So, hey, next podcast I'm not sure we're going to talk about, but I'm going to start out with a little more about me, some interesting stories about our first home, and some other stuff about the prison on top of some advice about how we can actually live our best life. And in spite of what you might think, even amid these lean times, there is the opportunity to live your best life. So, until next time, my name is Chris Jaquez, and always remember, today is your day. Make it a good one.